there, fellow travelers, Mark here with WoltersWorld, and welcome to Driving in Ireland. Or I should say, the don'ts of driving in Ireland, so you can get a better experience when you come here. And my first don't for you when it comes to driving in Ireland is don't be scared about driving on the left and driving here in Ireland, because I'll be honest, people will write to us saying they want to visit Ireland, they want to drive around, they want to visit the north, but they're scared about driving on the left side. Look, after about an hour driving on the left side of the road, you get used to it, okay? The roundabouts can be a bit scary at first, but you do get used to it, okay? So don't let your fear of driving on the left keep you from driving in Ireland, because you will really experience so much more of the island and the country just by driving on your own, to be able to stop off and see a village, stop off and see a castle or a ruin or a stone circle. I mean, it's just a wonderful experience. So don't be scared to drive when you're here. But I'm also going to say is don't forget to drive on the left. Look, if you haven't driven on the left before, sometimes you see yourself wandering over to the right. No, that is where the danger is. You got to focus. You got to remember, okay, stay on the left, stay on the left, stay on the left. Watch out for your mirror on the side that you don't break it off on a hedgerow or something. But yeah, don't forget to stay on the left. But don't worry, they'll remind you. Like, there'll be stickers on the window in your rental car saying, we drive on the left here. And you'll see at the airports, they'll be like, don't forget, we drive on the left. Okay, so just don't forget driving on the left, all right? Now, and I will tell you, when you get in your car, don't just drive off when you first get there. Get yourself settled. See where the blinkers are, see where all the windshield wipers and the lights and the brights, know where all those things are so you're more comfortable when you get going. Because I know some people, we get a rent-a-car and we just go and we'll fix it on the way. But when you're switching hands, it gets a little tough. And that's why I think another don't I have for you is don't forget to remember how to drive manual transmission. Yes, stick shifts are still the most popular form of rental car in Ireland and Northern Ireland. And so you need to be ready for that. Now, you can get an automatic, and they're becoming more popular, but there might be a higher charge for them. And as they have fewer of them, it might be harder to get them, okay? So just have a heads up for that. Also, don't forget to get the insurance, because if you're from the US or Canada, your insurance from back home may cover rental cars in the US and Canada, but they might not cover it in Ireland, okay? So you need to make sure you're checking that with your insurance provider, but I'm gonna guess it probably isn't. So get the insurance just for the peace of mind, because sometimes those hedgerows get a little close, and sometimes, you know, there's more than a few tourists that have lost a side view mirror when they've been driving around Ireland, and it's better just to have the insurance. Now, another thing I think you need to realize, if you're coming from the US and Canada, don't think the car sizes translate when you're renting a car. Like getting a full-size SUV, you're getting what, an Expedition or a Suburban or something like that. A full-size SUV here in Ireland might be the equivalent of a, you know, crossover or a small Bronco or something, or a small like SUV. So it doesn't necessarily match up with sizes. So if you're going to be a huskier traveler like myself, you might want to get some bigger cars. Also, don't overpack when you're going to be driving around Ireland, because these cars are smaller. They're smaller boots, you know, smaller trunks in the back. So there's not always a ton of space. So when we come, there's 4 of us. So we actually have 3 carry-on bags and then our backpacks, and that fills up the entire trunk and a backpacks between the kids in the back. Okay, so don't overpack if you're going to be driving in Ireland. Now, when you are signing up for your rental car when you're coming here, don't forget to buy the GPS. I know, you'll say, but my phone has perfectly good GPS on it. Why would I get the GPS for the car? Because one, don't expect to always have a signal on this, but also phone GPSs don't update enough to tell you, oh, second roundabout, turn here now. GPSs do that, and they work so much better when you're here. And when there's no signal for your phone, your GPS still works. So spend the money and get the GPS, because you're gonna wanna go to back roads. You're gonna find places like Kinnity Castle and eat here and enjoy your time here, which isn't on one of the main motorways. And that's another thing I want you to know. No matter where you're going, in Ireland or Northern Ireland, don't think you're just gonna be on the motorway. To go and experience true Ireland, true Northern Ireland, you gotta get on these back roads, these narrow, tiny back roads. And I'm not gonna lie to you, don't freak out the first time you see a semi coming towards you on your right side on a narrow road. You're like, ah! Look, just slow down. slow down, move over a little bit, let them get by. I mean, people, after a while, you get used to it, but it can be a bit scary at first. But honestly, probably the place where you're gonna have the most difficulty are those roundabouts I talked about before. And one thing I would say is you don't just drive straight into the roundabout without looking. You need to look and make sure there's a spot for you to go in. Also, if you need to go like the first exit or you're going straight through the roundabout, which would be like the second exit, you will be on the left side when you go into the roundabout. If you need to take a right at the roundabout, you're gonna come into the roundabout on the right side of your road, and then you go in to more of the center circle of the roundabout, and then after you pass the other exits, then you move over to take your exit. And don't forget to show your blinker to let them know what you're gonna do. Now, don't expect the locals to actually use their blinker with the roundabout, but for you as a tourist to let people know, I'm a tourist, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, please don't hit me, use your blinker, okay? Now, I think this goes without saying, but don't forget the rules of the road and your manners when you're on the road, because you may think, oh, it's a rental car, I'm not from this country, they won't find me. Oh yes, the government will find you to fine you for speeding, driving in the bus lanes. Hello, Belfast, you guys are just crazy at getting us on that one. So do be ready for that. So do, watch the road, make sure you know what's going on. And when you are driving around, don't forget that in Ireland, they use kilometers, and in Northern Ireland, they use miles. So once you cross that border, you're gonna see that the signs change, like the distances change, the speed limit changes because it's miles per hour versus kilometers per hour. And if you rent a car in the Republic of Ireland, it might not have miles per hour. That's why it's important, if you have that GPS, it'll tell you what the speed limit is for the road that you're on, just so you can kind of avoid getting that postcard in the mail about getting a ticket when you were in Ireland. Now, one of the things that all travelers and locals will agree on is that parking kind of sucks when you're driving around Ireland. And I would say is, don't complain about the parking, because everyone knows it sucks. If you find a good spot to park, take it. If you're in a small village, you see a spot, just take it and go explore the city. You can walk around and enjoy it, because parking can be insane. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I say don't drive in the big cities, whether you're in Belfast or Dublin. Sometimes it's better just to fly into Dublin, rent your car, go explore Ireland, then come back, drop off your car, and then go see Dublin, just to avoid the hassle. Belfast, my God, the parking there is just horrible. There's some parking garages, but it can be a bit frustrating. So sometimes I recommend, hey, save the city stuff for non-driving times, okay? Now, when you are driving around, I think another thing that people wonder is, can I drive my rental car from the Republic to Northern Ireland, or can I go from Northern Ireland to the Republic of Ireland? Well, there is no border. Don't think there's a border crossing, okay? You're not gonna get a stamp when you're going across the borders. You might have some police that might say, hey, can we check your papers in certain parts? But in general, you're not gonna have any documents checking. You're not gonna have any passport checking when you're there. So you can cross the border back and forth. So that's kind of a nice thing. Though I will say, if you need a visa for one of the countries you're gonna go to, like if you're coming to Ireland, but you need a visa for the UK, you'd have to have that if you go in there, because if you do get stopped, you can get in trouble. So do be aware of that. Now, one thing that might get you from day one in the airport parking lot is reverse. And my don't for that for my American friends, don't forget there might be a plunger or a trigger on the gear shifter to get you into reverse, because otherwise you might just keep going to first gear. Why can't I get there? There could be the plunger, there could be a trigger, there's some way to release it so then you can put it in reverse when you're driving, okay? So be aware of that. And also, don't pull that trigger or pull the plunger if you're trying to get into first gear or second gear, because then you might grind your gears and you don't want to drop your transmission, okay? Now, what about gas? Now, I'm not talking about the gas that you'll release after eating all the fantastic food you're here. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about filling up. One thing I gotta say is, don't forget to check if your car is unleaded or it's diesel, because you can have either of those when you rent a car, so be aware of that. Also, don't forget to fill up before you go to the airports to drop off your car or go into town, because there's not always a lot of gas stations around or petrol stations around. So fill up when you can, just to be topped up so you don't have to worry about it. And that's not just when you're dropping it off, because you want to do that, but also if you're gonna do like the ring of carry, it's a good idea to be filled up before you go, because sometimes there's a lot of tourist driving areas. Sometimes the petrol stations have a little bit higher prices sometimes, so just be aware of that. Now, for a serious thing, I know Ireland is known for Guinness and whiskey and just famous adult beverages. Obviously, don't drink and drive when you're here. There's basically zero tolerance for that, and you never should. So if you're going to be doing a distillery tour, like doing a whiskey trail or enjoying the Guinness and stuff, and the Smithwicks and all the other reds that are here, the fantastic alcohols, don't drink and drive. Have a designated driver or do a tour that's going to let you enjoy that without driving, because we want you to be safe. We want you to get home without a arrest record or hurting someone in an accident. So don't drink and drive when you're here. And I think I'm going to finish off with this. Don't think those drives are going to be as short as you think they are. It may say, oh, it's 60 miles away. That'll be 60 minutes. Oh, no, 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 no. It will always take you longer than you think to get places because of the windy roads and the hedgerows and the narrow roads, or just dealing with the on-ramps and the off-ramps, and it can get a bit much, and that's why you'll see people slowing down. So do be careful with that. And I do have to add on something else. Don't think you have a lot of space to merge on when you go onto the motorways. It's really quick. So either move over for people to get in or be ready to kind of like try to get in, because that can be a bit scary. Also, don't think that everyone's going near the speed limit on the motorway. We saw a lot of people going significantly under the speed limit on the motorway, which got a little dangerous. So do have a heads up for that, okay? But honestly, renting a car when you're here in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, is a must. To see those castles, to see the landscapes and the coast, and oh my, you have these great drives, like don't forget going down the Ring of Kerry, which is a fantastic drive, driving around the Dingle Peninsula. If you're going up to the Causeway coastal route, and you can go up and see Giant's Causeway up in Northern Ireland. I mean, there's so many great roads and experiences to have when you are here. And even if you get lost, don't worry, it's an island. You'll hit the coast eventually and someone will help you out. So I hope this helps you get ready to drive here in Ireland and didn't scare you off, because honestly, to really enjoy Ireland and Northern Ireland, you need to have your own car to explore. So have a good time, and I'll say bye from here in And I'll say bye from here at Kinnity Castle in Ireland. Bye.